All right, so Calvin, thanks for joining me, of course, again. Thank you very much. So, just a little backstory. Can you give us the people a little backstory on you and how you got started in real estate investing?
Yeah, absolutely, man. Thomas, first and foremost, I want to thank you for having me on your platform.
Absolutely.
To talk to your audience as well, man. I got started in real estate back in 91. I was very young, about 17, 18 years old. And I stumbled into real estate. I know a lot of people say, they got into real estate because that was something that they wanted to do.
Mm,
It wasn't that I wanted to do real estate. I wanted to get out of my parents' house, right? So,
no, yeah.
I was brought up and raised. My mom was very strict. My dad was strict. He was an entrepreneur. My mom was an entrepreneur. And I was going to Temple University and I
Hmm.
wanted my independency. So real estate started for me because I was searching for independency. I didn't want to be underneath their roof. I didn't want to be in their home. I wanted my own apartment and wanted my own situation so I can do the things I want to do. I was a young man, college student. So
Hmm.
I wanted to get out there and have my freedom. That's how I got started in real estate.
So, would you start out by renting an apartment, or like you just jumped into home ownership from the gate right in college, or how'd you get your first property?
Yeah, Thomas, that's a good question because I was looking to rent an apartment. And what
Mm,
happened was I was going to Temple University. And for those who are college students, I don't know if they do it today, but I know when I was going to college back then, college students would get something called a stipend check. And that stipend check took care of your room and board. It
hmm.
also took care of your books and any type of learning materials that you needed for the year. So when I filled out my paperwork for my stipend check, I filled it out late. So when I filled it out late, the check came after the semester.
Mm,
So once I got the check, it was $5,000. And I'm just like, oh man, I got this check. I thought I had to hold the check for the next semester in order to utilize it. But when I placed the check inside of my bank account, it cleared. And I'm just like, I got 5,000.
grand.
At that point, my grandfather was he knew a young lady who lived off of 32nd and Cecil B. Moore, and
Mm,
she was actually selling a duplex for $5,000.
wow.
Stumbled across that. I went to the bank, got the 5,000, and I bought that particular property, which was a duplex. Didn't know what I was doing. I didn't even know anything about real estate transactions. I just knew that she was selling this building, and I mean the building was like crap. The windows was broken.
Yeah.
It was all types of roach festations inside of it, but I didn't care. Remember, my goal was to get out of my parents' house. So
Get my own place. Yeah.
yeah, bought that duplex back in 91, 92. I stayed there for probably about 6 months to a year. Another gentleman, he was an entrepreneur. He had his own entrepreneur business. He was a pharmaceutical entrepreneur running his own thing. And he saw me going back and forth to college. And he came to me one day and he was like, listen, I would like to buy that building from you. And I was like, okay, whatever. He was like, yeah. He said, I want to buy it for 60,000. And I'm like, yeah,
Oh,
whatever. So, I'm a college student going back and forth to school. Somebody tell you something like that, it goes in one ear and out the other.
yeah.
So probably like 2 to 3 weeks later after that, he approached me again and was like, I'm ready to buy the building. And I'm just like, okay, so, where's the money? He had a
Hmm.
bag full of money. And I looked at the money. I looked at him. He had these documents inside of his hands. He was like, look, all you got to do is sign these documents and you give me the keys. So we went inside the building. He brought the duffel bag in. I signed all the papers. Still don't even know what I signed. Didn't know I was doing a real estate transaction, right? So I signed the documents. He gave me the duffel bag. I took my bag, loaded up my clothes. I'm sure I left furniture and everything there. I went back to my
Got
mom,
out of
went back to my parents' house, showed my mom the money, man, and I started my real estate career off of that transaction that I knew nothing about.
there.
I knew
Wow.
nothing about the transaction. And to be transparent, Thomas, I don't even think I counted the money. Because I was so young. I was just
So
splurging and just giving
young,
people money and
excited.
doing different
Yeah.
things. And then after that transaction, I realized that I knew I had did something. So
Mm,
at that point, I was still going to college, but then I took myself to real estate school. So then I learned about real estate, learned about what I did, and even to the day, I don't even know if he even gave me the full 60,000. I do know that that was my first introduction into real estate, and I knew that. Hey, I was a college student. I knew I bought that building for 5,000. I knew that this gentleman just gave me a bag full of money that I've moved the most money I've ever seen in my entire life as an 18-year-old kid. It's like, you know what? I need to do this again. So I
yeah.
went back, I studied it, I learned it, and then that's when I took off with my real estate career.
Yeah. Whether he gave you 20,000 or 60,000, like what
Right.
you learned from that transaction right there changed the course of your life.
Changed my life.
So it's hard to put a value on that transaction because had that not have happened, who knows where you would have been right now. So
Absolutely.
that's a great story. So during that first transaction, was there any like nervous or scared about going into the transaction? Like, were you unsure, hesitant? What was it like?
The biggest thing that was on my mind was I got to go back to my parents' house. That's
Yeah.
the only thing I was thinking. Is like, oh man, first when he showed me the money, I got excited because I was broke. I didn't have a
Yeah.
job. I didn't have anything. So I didn't even have a car. So when he showed me that money, I'm like, oh, I can buy a car now. I can buy some clothes. You know what I mean? I don't have to keep wearing the same, 2 or 3 pair of jeans every 2 to 3 weeks. I was like, I'm going to take this money and just better my life.
Yeah.
I wasn't nervous and scared because I only invested 5,000 and I didn't earn the 5,000.
Yeah.
5,000 was given to me. So I didn't even respect money. I didn't understand financial literacy because somebody gave me something. Then they gave me something larger than that. So I didn't care. I never did any work in the property. I didn't really put no investment, no money inside of it. So I wasn't acclimated to that portion of it. And my biggest fear was I got to go back and listen to my mom and dad
Yeah.
about being in the house when the street light come on. That was my biggest fear. So when I went back, I started splurging, doing, silly stuff the kids would do. But the one great thing that I did was I found another property, which was on a 4400 block of Germantown Avenue, and I bought a quad. And at this time now, I'm understanding real estate a little bit better because now I'm in real estate school. I'm learning the documentations, and I bought this one more involved, understanding the process. And I bought that building for like 10K or anywhere between 8 and 10K.
Wow.
Back in like 95, 96.
95. Okay. So did you move into that building as well?
I slept in so it was a quad unit building. I slept in every single apartment. I didn't know anything about contractors. I didn't know anything about none of that back then. I was doing my own repairs. So this building wasn't too bad. I mean, it's not like the buildings that you see today that's fully renovated, but I went in there, I painted the whole entire building myself. I was doing my own electrical stuff, changing outlets, doing all types of crazy stuff just to make the building habitable so I could stay there. And I stayed in every single unit. And every time I moved out of a unit, I got a tenant to fill that unit. So yeah, I mean, I left my parents' house again and I stayed there. And then at that point, I learned about FHA. Then that's when I bought my first single family home going through FHA, and I bought that in the Northeast.
Okay. So that quiet unit, you just paid the 20% deposit, or you said you paid for it in cash?
Yep. So the money I got off the duplex at 32nd Cecil B. Moore,
You bought the quad for
I
cash.
don't know if it was like 8,000, maybe it was 8,000 for the sale, and then with the closing costs got me to like 10 or 12,000 to close out the deal. But I paid cash for that property, so I didn't have a mortgage. I didn't even know nothing about mortgages. All I knew was that I needed to get out of my parents' house. So I bought that cash, and then I stayed there for about 2 to 3 years.
Yeah.
I still went to real estate school. I went back to Temple University to get business management. And that's when I started learning and started respecting money. And that's when things started taking off.
How to grow the money, how to flip the money, and how to keep scaling, huh?
How to keep scaling. Absolutely.
So since leaving there, have you gone back, checked the numbers on that property for like what you sold it for and what it was actually worth?
I always go back and look at all the properties I owned in the 90s, right? So the 32nd and Cecil B. Moore property, I picked it up for $5. I sold it for $6. Allegedly sold it for $60. Hopefully, if the guy gave me the right dollar amount. Today, those properties down there are going anywhere between $450,000 to $500,000. So if I had the literacy, or if I had the information that I have today, I probably would have held on to that property. My Germantown quad property, I bought that for 10. I eventually sold that property later for like 100,000. Today, that particular property is worth 450 to 475,000. So it means like I wasn't sure of what exactly I was doing in real estate, but now that I educated myself, I do go back and look at the numbers, and I'm like, man, if I would have known back then what I know today, I would have held those properties. Absolutely.
Yeah, but you don't know what you don't know. That's why, mentorship and people reaching out to people like you to learn these lessons beforehand. They go in and make these mistakes. They can save that $300,000. They can have that equity in their back pocket.
For sure.
That was a great story.
Absolutely.
So what's one thing that new investors are missing out on in the market, or what's the biggest misconception when getting into real estate investing?
Oh, man. One of the biggest misconceptions I would say is people tap into social media too much. And what I mean by that is that they see the lifestyle that a lot of influencers live and a lot of influencers show, but we don't understand what a commercial is versus what reality is, right?
Absolutely.
I see a lot of new investors, they jump into real estate thinking that, hey, I'm going to go from 0 to 1,000 because I see this real estate influencer showing their lifestyle. And people don't understand the work that influencer did in order to get to that level. And a lot of influencers online that talk about real estate are not really doing real estate. People have to understand there's a major difference between intellectual property real estate and actually doing real estate. right?
Yeah.
People sell digital products, people sell courses, they sell programs. And I'm not opposed to that. I mean, however you got to do to make your money. But when somebody come to you and say, hey, I want to learn real estate, I want to learn about wholesaling, I want to learn about flipping, I want to learn about being a landlord. The number one thing that I believe that people go wrong with is that they don't get enough information. They don't get enough credibility to say, hey, do you really do this every day?
Yeah.
Or did you do this years ago? Or did you do this, months ago? You need to be with somebody who does real estate every single day, not somebody that just talks about it and regurgitate information that they
Hmm.
picked up from YouTube or picked up from other social media sites. You need to be tapped in with an investor who's actively today investing in real estate, and you'll make the least amount of mistakes because you have somebody that's currently active today and not somebody
Absolutely.
telling you a story about what happened 10, 15, 20 years ago.
Yeah, absolutely. I like how you use that real estate influencer. Like they're out there just
Yeah,
portraying the lifestyle, not really in these streets. Like I like that. I like that. You got to know the difference and know who to go to get this information. That people, the real estate investors who are out there every day in these streets, in these houses, who have that hands-on experience.
absolutely.
That's real. With real estate to cash flow, that's your brand. So what can a student get when they come to you for mentorship? Like, what does your program entail?
Yeah, absolutely, man. The very first thing that I always tell people is that I just don't take any and everybody, right?
Hmm.
What I need people to understand is that when you're looking for a mentor, the first thing you have to ask yourself is, are you prepared to do the work? Right?
Yeah.
Everybody wants the information, but information without instructions is dangerous. So you can go out here and get all this information in the world, but if you're not prepared to execute the information that you're given, then the information that you're getting is useless.
Yeah.
That execution comes from the individual. I can teach you the business, right? I can teach you the strategies, but if you're not ready to execute the strategy and the information I'm giving you, you're not doing yourself any justice or any good. When people look for mentors, I tell them real estate leaves residue. So you want to make sure that you're dealing with an investor who's in real estate every day. Before you pay for a course, program, ebook, or whatever the information that the person is trying to pitch to you, the first thing you got to ask them is like, listen, can I pull up to one of your properties?
Hmm.
Can I come to your city and state this weekend, or can I come to your city and state on whatever particular day? And I would like to see what you do in action before I make the investment, because investing in somebody that's not really doing what they say that they're doing, you're just spinning your wheels.
Hmm.
You're just
Yep,
wasting money,
absolutely.
right? At the real estate to cash flow program, what we do is I teach you how to understand real estate, not only as an investor, but also understand real estate as a business. See, a lot of people will teach you how to invest. They teach you how to analyze deals. They teach you how to find deals. They teach you how to wholesale deals. They teach you how to crunch the numbers, but nobody is actually teaching you what happens after that.
Yeah.
Nobody's saying, hey, these are the documents that you need to look at when you go to the settlement table.
Hmm.
Nobody's telling you that after you get this property, if you have a construction loan, this is how you do your scope of work. This is how you order your draws. This is how you do your cash out refis. This is how you find tenants. This is how you sustain your building. People aren't teaching those things. They're just teaching you the basics, which is good. But then once you get the basics, now what?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So real
Absolutely.
estate to cash flow is based upon teaching you the basics, walking you through real estate, as well as teaching you the business. All of my students are assigned to some type of property or some type of project that I'm doing. So once you sign up for the program, you get assigned to a project and you walk through that entire project from start to finish. And then after that, we teach you how to maintain the business by either placing a tenant and
Hmm.
or placing the property on the market to be sold.
Yeah.
So there's a variation of a lot of different things that you'll learn from the program, but it's all up to what your strategy is. So the very first day, we talk about your goals. What is it that you want to do?
Hmm.
You're a landlord, you want to be a flipper, you want to be a wholesaler, because your goal of what you want to do may be different from what somebody else want to do. So when you get into a group, all these groups of like 30, 40 different people, and y'all all learning the same thing, well, guess what? Your end goal might not be their end goal.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
So you're getting information that now you feel like that mentor didn't really teach me, because I can't utilize what they taught me because I
Yeah.
never told them what my end goal was.
Yeah. I'm a flipper, but other person's a buy and hold investor.
Yep.
Like they don't know
Absolutely
what to do. Exactly.
what to do. So everybody gets lost. So we always we want to make sure we understand what our mentor, I'm sorry,
Hmm.
what our mentee goal is, right? And once we understand what the mentee goal is, then you prepare with the mentor, which will be me, and I make sure that I deliver the deliverables that you reach your goal. But the biggest part of your goal has to be your ability to execute.
Got it. Got it. So a big thing with me with off the sidelines, how I came up with this brand is coming or getting over that information overload. There's a lot of mentors out there that just regurgitate and spit out a lot of information where it's just like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
You start getting analysis paralysis. So what would you say is the best advice for a new investor that's getting started? I know you said find out what your end goal is, but
Yep.
like, how would you advise a new investor when getting started?
Yeah. So the very first thing I would say is, what do you enjoy? Because if you don't really enjoy this, you're not going to stay in this business long.
Yeah.
Yes, all the fancy stuff you see online looks attractive, but it's supposed to look attractive, right?
Yeah.
It's clickbait for you. But you have to understand, hey, what is it that I enjoy? Am I a people's person? Because if you're a people person, then you can be a great landlord because you would know how to communicate and converse with people. If you're like, nah, I'm kind of standoffish, I don't really want to deal with people, then maybe you need to be a flipper, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe you just need to be a wholesaler. So once you figure out what it is that you want to do and what you enjoy, the next step is you have to figure out what is it that you understand. Because everybody doesn't understand how to be a landlord. Everybody doesn't understand how to be a flipper. Everybody doesn't understand how to wholesale property. So you figure out what you enjoy, you attach that to what you understand, then you find the person that's actually doing it. Sometimes people say, well, you know what? I'm going to go to YouTube and I'm going to study it. Yeah, that's good. But in real estate, you're either going to pay to learn real estate or you're going to pay and learn real estate.
Yeah.
Either way, you're paying somebody.
Yeah. Either way.
Right. So
Easy way or the hard way.
it's either the easy way or the hard way. So I can save you some of this money, or you can go ahead and just keep spending it, keep spending it, keep spending it, keep hitting your head against the wall until you figure it out. But once you get somebody that's actually doing what you're trying to do, right? You get somebody to say, hey, you want to wholesale? I wholesale every day. This is what I do. Here's my blueprint. You can come to my office. You can pull up. I'll show you everything I do. I'm showing you live transactions that I just closed this week or just closed this month. You don't want somebody that's talking about what they used to do.
Yeah.
And that's where that overload of information come from because they're not active in the business.
Yeah.
Somebody that did real estate back in 2000 and doing real estate today may have a different strategy because real estate is based upon pivoting. If you're doing the same strategy, if I stayed with the same strategy from 1991, I wouldn't be as successful that I wouldn't be as I am today in today's time because that strategy I pivoted from.
Yeah. So it doesn't work anymore. Like the market's changed. You got to be able to pivot, like you said. Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. So you got to find somebody that's actually doing the business that you understand and that you enjoy doing and get attached to that person. You got to get attached. You got to get close to them, right? I tell people all the time, this device right here is a powerful device.
Yeah.
It's a powerful device. And we don't take advantage of it, right? A lot of times what we do is we think we're going to learn on our own or, we're going to scroll through Instagram, social media, and all these different sites, and we're going to learn it that way. But you don't get the real deal information until you tap in with somebody.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. So we talked about flipping, talked about wholesaling, things like that. So is there a recommendation for a new investor just to get their feet wet if they're not sure exactly what they want to do yet? Do you have any recommendations where they should go?
Yeah, I always say the first thing is get some education. The second thing, understand what your capabilities are, right? So if it's somebody that doesn't have a lot of money to get into real estate, let's say, hey, I'm just getting started. I got $5,000, I got $10,000. What do I do?
Yeah.
First thing I say is get the education. Get next and close to somebody that's going to teach you the real estate business. Not real estate influencing, but real estate business. The second thing is ask them, hey, this is all that I have to invest in real estate. What do you recommend? My recommendation is start off wholesaling. Wholesaling doesn't cost you much, right? You get with somebody that's a master wholesaler, you can literally get wholesale deals and not spend a dime. You learn that paperwork. You learn how to get your assignment contracts. You can start flipping properties through wholesale and it doesn't cost you anything. Now you're building up your bank. And once you build up your bank, now you can pivot to the next level. Hey, you know what? Now I want some residual cash flow coming in. So I want to start holding properties. So one of the things that we teach in the real estate, the cash flow is buy, flip, hold until your cash flow supersedes your flips. And what that means is that we're going to buy a property. If you get a wholesale deal or if you buy a property, you're going to put it on the retail market. You're going to flip that. You're going to flip that, take the proceeds and the profits, split them in half, put half of that back into the business to buy another wholesale property or buy another retail flip. Take the other half of that. Now you're buying your whole property, which should be a multifamily property.
Yeah.
So as you're building your multifamily property portfolio over here, you're still building up your own personal bank over here. And now you're becoming your own bank.
Yeah, that's powerful. That's a great way to get started. So my whole process is like I got into real estate investing by house hacking, and it was funny because I was working down at the airport, and I was working with an older guy. I know he used to always give away his shifts.
Yeah.
Like, hey, like, why are you giving? I asked him one day, like, why are you giving away your shifts? He was like, yeah, I'm just working here, to keep my flight benefits. I'm like, he's like, my real estate properties pay for my lifestyle. I was like, what? I didn't understand it. This is when, real estate investing first dawned on me.
Yeah.
And he told me, he's like, yo, Thomas, first property you get, make sure you get a multifamily.
Yep.
Like you can live on one unit and have the tenants pay for the other units. That's exactly what I did. I got into house hacking. I bought a duplex out in Olney, lived on the first floor, rented out the second. This is history. I don't think I've ever had to pay the mortgage since I've owned the property. It was just crazy. That kind of introduced me into real estate investing, and it kind of saved me at the same time. Because once I left the airport and started working at the oil refinery.
Okay.
Down South Philly. You know what happened there?
Yep.
Yeah, it blew up. And I was there that night when it blew up.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So that changed my life. But if I didn't have this duplex and I didn't have a tenant in there paying my mortgage, where would I be? So real estate investing in a way saved my life, and it gave me that spark of like, hey, listen, you can have somebody actually pay your mortgage. Yep. So that's how I try to help people get into real estate investing. It's one avenue, house hacking. I feel like that's one of the greatest ways to start. That's kind of how you got started too. Right?
Yeah, you know what? I totally agree with that. The one thing I tell people is don't buy the house that you want.
Yeah.
Buy the house that you need.
Yeah.
Right? That house that you need is that house hacking. For me, I didn't get a chance to put a tenant in there because I was moving so fast, but I did. My very first property was a multifamily property.
Yeah.
When I bought my FHA home, I did buy a single family home only because I didn't have the education. Somebody said to me, hey, you bought these multifamilies. Why are you buying another? Why aren't you buying another multifamily? Right. Yeah. Now, even though I still had the quad, I didn't have the duplex because I sold that to get the quad. Once I put the tenants inside of the quad, now I'm bringing in 4 rents. So when I bought my single family home, those rents actually was paying my mortgage.
Paying for your mortgage.
Family home. So I did have the multifamily before I did the single family. But if I had a mentor, if I had somebody that was educating me, I would have made sure I would have never, ever bought that single family home. I would have went FHA and I would have bought me another quad through FHA and allow the tenants to pay for that as well. So I always say, buy the house that you want, buy the house that you need. Don't worry about the house on the hill with the picket fence right away. Worry about getting your assets in order that's going to provide for your lifestyle.
Exactly. Have your assets pay for your lifestyle. Yep. That was huge. So what's next for you, Kyle? What do you got on the horizon?
Yeah, man. So for me, I'm doing real estate every day. I'm already retired, and this is my retirement plan, right? So one thing that I did learn early in real estate is that I used to have real estate all over the place. I was spread out all over the place, right? And what I realized is that when I'm trying to accumulate and put a grip on my wealth I had to understand is not money. And a lot of people confuse being wealthy with money. It's not money. Wealth is time. So most people understand that when you talk to somebody that's wealthy, they're not running around doing foolery. They in the gym. They talking about their health. They're trying to get more time on the clock. That's what wealth is about. Wealth is about taking the rich and going into wealth to control the time that you have left on this earth. So for me, I took my portfolio, I tightened it up. I don't fly all around the world anymore now, going to different properties. I now keep my portfolio tight, whereas though I can get to it very quickly. And I went back and finished my breakfast, which is managing my business, making sure that the business is managed. People think that, you got to have 1,000 doors. You got to have 5,000 doors. It's not the quantity of the door, is the quality of the door. So I didn't learn that right away in real estate. I thought that, I need 1,000 doors. Let me go buy all these properties, buy all this stuff. But then I realized that I got quality doors, or I had less quality doors that I can pull more quality into if I go back and finish my breakfast if I go back and do the business. So I
Yeah.
started selling off some properties. I started selling off my CD properties, and I started keeping my BC properties in my BC areas, started increasing my rent, started improving the quality of my properties. And now those properties, those doors, I'm making more money off of that than I did when I was carrying the other doors.
Less turnover,
Less turnover.
better.
I tell people this: when you have 100 doors and you have an average of one bedroom to 3 bedrooms, so let's say that's an average of 2 bedrooms. That's 100 times 2. You're dealing with 200 people every 30 days.
Yeah.
That's insane. It's insane.
A lot of personalities to manage.
A lot of personalities versus you having the quality doors that's less than that, and you can still make the same dollar amount. So
Yeah.
for me, is going back, finish your breakfast, understand the business, work the business, right? Work the business, because anything that has a structure and you don't have stability with that structure is going to collapse. So if you keep building on growth, more doors, more doors, more doors, more doors, you're leaving your foundation down here wide open and vulnerable. So
Yeah.
as you build, and what happens, your building starts tipping.
Yep.
The building falls because you never went back to understand the business. So that's what I do now. I focus on the business of real estate, keeping my business intact and running my business that way.
Nice. Those some gems. Well, Calvin, I appreciate your time, brother.
Absolutely,
Can you
man.
let the people know where they can find you at, where they can reach you?
Absolutely, man. You can find me on all social media platforms at Calvin Cannon Jr., CalvinCannonJr. I'm on all social media platforms, guys. Make sure you stay tapped in. Share this podcast out with as many people as you can to get the information. Tap in with me, tap in with Thomas. If you have any questions, shoot me a DM. And yeah, if you're ready for some great mentorship, guys, let me know. I'm sure Thomas can help you. I can help you as well to help you get to the right point that you need to be with real estate.
Absolutely. I want to thank you again for joining me, Calvin.
Thank
I'll
you.
have your website below this link on YouTube so you guys can tap in with Calvin. Yeah, thanks again. Thanks for dropping the gems on my podcast, and best of luck. I'll see you around, brother.
Thank you, man. Appreciate you, Thomas.
Thanks.